Guys, Summer Del Piso back once again with another video. I decided to talk about something very controversial and something incredibly powerful, because I think that we are not really opening our eyes as modern men to a reality that we face every day. I'm not just talking about male loneliness, which is a thing which has been happening in all Western cultures all around Western Europe, Australia, Canada, especially here in the United States. But the counteraction of that, the other end of that, what happens when we are not so lonely, socially and intimately? Well, more on the intimate side. That's what I'm going to get to in this video. What happens when we do get that sexual attention that a lot of us desire, right? But it's only put on that side. Hold on, give me 1 second. So what if that intimacy is only given to you through the means of intimacy, right? Only through that tunnel of intimacy. What if there's like nothing else attached to it? What I'm talking about right now is the problem of hookups. The hookup culture in the United States and the Western cultures are incredibly horrible, and we have to, in order for us modern men to become even more powerful and staunch individuals, we need to address this scourge and make sure that we are not within its midst in the slightest. Like, comment, subscribe. We're gonna get into it right now. Guys, I'm on my way uptown somewhere. I have no idea where I'm going, but we're gonna get there. When we get there, there is a huge scourge that is happening right now, and that's the problem of hookups. The hookup culture, of course, if you guys don't know what that is just basically man and woman coming together and just sleeping with each other. There's no strings attached. There's no relationship at all. It is just a hookup. That's exactly what it is. The problem with that, of course, on the outside, it may seem all nice. It's great. I get to sleep with someone and whatnot. These are the people that are not listening to the channel and don't understand about the powers of semen retention. That's one. On the surface, it may seem great. It may seem that you're enjoying yourself and it's wonderful, but the issues that come about from indulging in the hookup culture happen the same way to both men and women alike. There are emotional bonds that tend to form with the individual. Because you guys are poisoned by the indoctrination of the modern world to accept this whole hookup thing, you are now fighting against what is natural, right, in the self, to pair bond with one individual, to be monogamous, and to be with one individual, and against the indoctrination from the outside, which is, screw around, have your fun. There's no such thing as attachments. The negatives that also come about with that is that the individual never actually seeks to bond with one person, to enjoy one person, right? They're always looking around the bend. Oh, maybe there's gonna be something better over there. I don't need to deal with this, even though he basically just criticized the way I brush my teeth. There's someone else that could truly appreciate what I am, and I'm just gonna go to that person. The hookup culture has been exacerbated and broadcasted to a crazy extent due to social media and due to a lot of feminism now. Feminism has pushed the whole idea of, to be a strong woman, you need to act how men acted, or how a few men were acting back in the day. And what was that? Hooking up with multiple women. There's no strings attached, no commitments. As you've heard, women now have much more of an economic might than men. They are staying in colleges longer. They are getting more jobs. They have more friends. So now that women are in the height of supremacy, they could now exercise the hookup culture as a few men did in the past because of their economic might. That's the long, that's all the short. Even though us men on the other end are not really as economically strong as a lot of women nowadays, right? Because of, perhaps it's a diversity quote hiring. There's a certain amount of women that need to be hired. So even though you have your certifications, that match you with the position that you're applying for, you're not gonna get hired because, you're a dude. Perhaps you're getting this sort of situation and you are just sort of feeling like lonely as well, because a lot of us, we don't even have friends. We don't have, let alone a good friend, and a lot of us are prone to substance abuse. We're drinking. That whole glamour of the hookup culture might seem like something beautiful. It might seem like something good that could ease the pain for a little bit, but It's the same thing as taking a drug. You take the drug, it'll temporarily blind you from the issue, but then once you get off of the haze, you're on the come down, you still have to deal with your life. And now your body is yearning for another piece of that drug. I say stay away from the hookup culture, stay as far away from it as possible. A lot of women are like that here in the United States. I got invited to do a hookup, dead serious. I'm gonna talk about it more on Patreon. Guys, I have a Patreon where I talk about a lot more raw things. If you guys wanna hear about that, join the Patreon, the link is gonna be in the description. But I'm gonna talk about that on Patreon. A lot of women, I'd say the majority of women in the United States are on a hookup thing. They do not want to start families. They just want to sleep with dudes. They don't seek any sort of commitment. They don't seek any sort of relationship, anything like that. I've been invited and I just refused it because I know it's just not the way to go. I know it's harmful to the psyche. Not only you're creating soul ties, right, which lead to the emotional issues and eventually the psychological problems that you have with constant and consistent indulgence in the hookup culture, but there's the risk of diseases, right? And honestly, as a person that wants to find a mate eventually, getting involved in the hookup culture is just going to do more harm than good in the long run when you need to take that band-aid off, right, in order to get acclimated to how life is really supposed to be lived, like, you know, just having one person and going out and enjoying yourself. Feminism has really exacerbated the hookup culture, right, the validation of a hookup culture, and it's only going to get worse in a lot of the Western cities. My cure, as you know, as I always say, go overseas, go elsewhere, get out of the places that I mentioned, the United States, Canada, Australia, Western Europe. Try to seek traditional values from the individuals there. I have my experience. I'm not just blowing smoke. I used to live in Colombia, and it was a very, very great life. I learned a lot. I not only learned Spanish, I basically developed a huge group of friends. I learned a lot about myself over there in ways and levels that I could never learn here in the United States. And I know that it will be a transcendental and evolutionary experience for you guys as well. Even the way I think is very, very different from before that trip to South America. I know there's a lot of other places like this in the world. Eastern Europe, I've never been. Closest I've been was probably Germany. That doesn't really count. I just know that it's different over there. I think it's very, very accepting, and I'm very, very excited to go over there. Of course, everywhere has its own issues, but the hookup culture is definitely, due to my research and due to a lot of the testimonies and anecdotes from a lot of the people I heard that travel to these places, the hookup culture is definitely not an issue that exists in those places. And for me, and for a lot of lads out there that are disgusted with the ways that the West has gotten in terms of the value of relationships, I think that those places are places to go and consider and go and travel to. My final thoughts, you know, I'm not an advocate. I do not advocate for the hookup culture because it does way more harm than good, and of course a lot of unwanted pregnancies and a lot of issues and strife and contention between males and females, the more that the negative results from the hookup culture comes around. So I'm saying this, guys, it's gonna get lonely here. Trust, I'm in New York. Look at this, right? I'm in New York. And it does get lonely. It's very, very cliquish. It's very, very liberal here as well, which advocates for inclusivity, but they're actually very, very exclusive, and they are very secular. Also responsible for gentrification. That's a topic for another story or another video. But I know it gets lonely. That's my main point. It gets lonely. It gets very, very emotional here because you don't have friends to really chat to. You don't have really good friends to tell your issues to. And especially if you live alone, it doesn't really help because you're just walking around with a lot of these issues. But you guys have to hold the line, and please do not get invited by the devilish serpent-like allure of the hookup culture in the various metropolises that you guys live in. It always gets better. Hold the line and seek to use that little money that you guys have to explore other environments that are more accepting of your traditional values, of your ideas and dreams of perhaps having one individual that values you for you and not necessarily the amount of money that you bring in, but they value your personality, they value the way that you operate in a social setting, they value the way that you think, they value your creativity. All of that. I know that it doesn't exist here in the West, but the more you eschew the hookup culture, get closer and closer to getting with that type of person. With that being said, that is all I have to say about the hookup culture today, guys. If you guys enjoy that kind of content, like, comment, subscribe, share the video with some peers. Don't ever let this place get you down. Listen, this place it's going through a big change right now. Of course, in government, there's been a big shift of power to the conservatives, the Republicans, and a lot of interesting changes are happening around the bend. Maybe things that could benefit you, maybe things that will not necessarily benefit you. But I'm saying this. You don't have to remain in a situation that is not necessarily conducive to how you view yourself in the future, right? Growing and developing. You are not supposed to, it is not supposed to, for the people, listen, they're the people that are on semen retention, all about ascension, all about, you know, powering up and getting access to knowledge about the self and other things. And I'm all for that. But there are also people that are on semen retention to be better themselves, of course, but to also find a wife. On that journey, on that trip to try to find that significant other, it is not supposed to be a contention. It is not supposed to be a fight, and it is not supposed to be you constantly holding out and making excuses for the promiscuous, fickle nature of the Western woman to try to understand, believing that things will change around the bend, or maybe she'll get better when she finally somehow submits to an official label of girlfriend or wife. The longer you stay with her, you see a person for who they are at the first instance, take it as face value, and if you agree with it, stay. If you don't, leave as soon as possible, because it's going to get harder along the line when things get involved, when emotions get involved, as inevitably they will do. Eschew the hookup culture. Be monogamous, and I'm telling you, you're going to find your truth, your raison d'etre, your purpose. So stay radiant, my friends. I think this is a stop. I think this is it. This is my stop. Stay radiant, guys. I'm going to see you guys in the next video.